And we will start with a question from Carter. Hi, Andy. Love the show and how lucky we are to get such a great college football season. I'm a Sooner living in Austin, obviously a big week. My question is, how good is Quinn Ewers? More importantly, what's the gap at the most important position between the Sooners and the Longhorns? Obviously, Quinn was electric against Alabama, but his numbers are good, not great. 12th in QBR, high 20s rating, and he isn't getting as much hype as a draft prospect, certainly not how he was hailed as a recruit. Can I hope Oklahoma keeps this a low-scoring affair, or is Texas hanging 45 and Dillon has to find a way to keep up? P.S. I went to my first UT game this past weekend. I have to admit it's a cool stadium. So grudging respect coming from a Sooner living in Austin for the actual Longhorns. This is a great question, though, because Quinn Ewers was very inconsistent last year. The world saw him against Alabama before he got hurt in that game in Austin, and he looked amazing. But the Quinn Ewers who came back from that injury wasn't quite that good and was very up and down. And so, you look at some of the advanced stats coming into the season, he didn't look that great compared to a lot of other quarterbacks. But if you look at what he's done this year, it's pretty darn good by any metric. Now, we'll go with some of the more common metrics. Completion percentage is up from 58% to 66%. His yards per attempt has gone up from 7.4 to 9.2. It doesn't feel like Texas is calling for shorter, more high confidence type passes. He's still throwing the ball down the field quite a bit. He's just completing more of those, and it's more explosive. Now, one stat I like is expected points added. Last year, according to the ESPN EPA, when they do their QBR, Ewers added 19 points for Texas. Now, he did miss some games because of injury, but that was across the entire season. It ranked him number 87 in the country. This year, he's added 31.6 points already, and he's number 13 in the country. Now, here's where it's interesting with regard to Carter's question. Where's the gap between him and Dillon Gabriel? Well, that expected points added stat, Dillon Gabriel was number 28 last year with 53.5. He currently has 40.9 after 5 games as number 2 in the country. So Dillon Gabriel also playing really well. This is going to be a great quarterback matchup. You're hoping JT Sanders is healthy for Texas because I think he's their most dynamic weapon on offense. And he's a very good tight end who can just create a mismatch just about anywhere he goes. But Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, those are guys who can absolutely fly down the field for Texas too. But you look at Gabriel and you look at the way that Oklahoma has opened its playbook for him because they can. Think about this game last year. Gabriel couldn't play. He was hurt. He had a concussion that was suffered against TCU. And Oklahoma could not do anything. They didn't have a backup quarterback ready. I think now the Oklahoma coaching staff would tell you they're confident putting Jackson Arnold into a game like this and running basically the whole offense. What that means for Gabriel is they're comfortable letting him do everything. He's not shackled at this point. And you saw it in the Iowa State game where he's running people over, and all that does is give the defense one more thing to worry about, really force one more guy into the box and allow Dillon Gabriel to load up and throw, and allow Gabriel to move around inside the pocket. They can call some more things that move him around and allow him to use that mobility in service of the passing game. So this is going to be a great game because both these teams are so much better than they were this time last year. And obviously Oklahoma can't be much worse than it was against Texas last year, but this is a better version of Texas too. And it feels like a throwback to when this game was massive every single year, when it really did determine who was going to win the Big 12. I cannot wait. And Quinn Ewers has gotten better and better. And I do think you'll see Quinn Ewers improve as a draft prospect because of what he's doing now. Because all of his stats, be they conventional or advanced, are better than they were. He's a much more consistent quarterback. And, he hasn't made those mistakes that he made at some points last year where it did cripple Texas. He's been a value add every single time. And I think that is a big difference for Texas. And I can't wait to see it. Now, again, both of these guys are going to be challenged because Oklahoma's defense considerably better than it was last year. Their open field tackling is much, much better. I think if you go back to the Cincinnati game, it's a really good example of it, where Cincinnati had some plays where if they'd been playing against last year's Oklahoma defense, it's a short pass, receiver breaks a tackle, and he's gone. And that would have been a very different game, and Oklahoma would have lost that game. But now you see them getting guys down when they catch the ball, which I think makes a big difference. And you're not seeing as many coverage busts. You're not seeing as many guys where somebody's just running wide open. The TCU game last year was a great example of that. Texas, meanwhile, so good up front. You heard Jim Nagy talking about it. They have monsters up front. They have a playmaker in the middle in Jalen Ford. They are going to test Oklahoma's offensive line and how well they can protect Dillon Gabriel, because when Dillon Gabriel and Oklahoma played against Cincinnati, again, Dante Corleone, one of the best defensive tackles in the country, they held him 20 points. They didn't look as explosive on offense. So this is going to be one of the most fun games of the year just because everybody's so much better. And Quinn Ewers, chief among those players who are better. I think this one's going to be a great quarterback matchup, because I don't know if the gap between Quinn Ewers and Dillon Gabriel is that big, or even if there's a gap at all. I think it might be that Quinn Ewers has a better supporting cast around him than Dillon Gabriel, but both these guys can sling it. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.